it's probably no surprise to you that the San Francisco 49ers are at the bottom of the red zone efficiency list. And not only are they trending up in the last few games, but they have their big red zone weapon, 21 TDs last season in the regular season, on the ground and through the air, coming back soon. The other day, Steve Young made the most interesting statement about how the 49ers solve these red zone issues going forward, and you're going to love it. If you're new here, I'm Nate. Love talking about the 49ers. Please consider a like and sub. It does really help me out. Very much appreciate it. Steve Young was on KMBR the other day, cut up some stuff for yesterday's video, cutting up some stuff for today's video. There's some great stuff from this interview. He's on there every week, but it felt really good this time. Let's give it a listen. Starting with the question, what needs to tighten up in order for this team to get where they want to be? Starting with that one, give this a listen.
Well, offensively, you got to figure that we got Christian says he's going to practice on Monday. And if he can stay, and I think if he come back and stay healthy and really kind of get into the flow of things, I mean, that's number one. Christian McCaffrey healthy for the second half of the season. Mm-hmm. That's, there's nothing, that's number 1, 2, and 3. Now, number 4 is, protection. Making sure that...
So Christian McCaffrey coming back is number 1, 2, and 3. I was waiting there for a second. I was like, I remember him saying that. How much longer? Number 1, 2, and 3. Most important things is Christian McCaffrey back and healthy. That's how big of a weapon he is. And so we got to give some massive credit to the 49ers organization for taking their sweet time to make sure that this gets handled appropriately. It's been hard to miss the guy, but you know what? It's going to be worth it. Now, on top of Christian McCaffrey, of course, being gone, there's other things that have been developing during that time. The 49ers have benefited from Jordan Mason absolutely getting the being ready. I was going to say getting the development. He's getting the reps, sure, but he was ready. By the time preseason came around, he was ready. And we were seeing it in the preseason, and then we saw it for real in the first several games of the season. And we also got to see some real development take place for Isaac Guerendo. The first game he goes out there, gets a few reps, or gets one rep. That first time he goes out there, doesn't go so hot, doesn't get to run again for the rest of the game, comes back out, runs for 5 times this time, gets 5 attempts, not great, gets 1 the following game, and the game after that, he gets 5 more. And that's kind of like how things are going for the guy, and you're like, you know what, that's kind of part of being a rookie back, that's kind of part of being a low man on the totem pole, right? Until Jordan Mason can't get it done because he's injured. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. That sounds like he's not doing a good enough job. Because of his injury, Jordan Mason's not able to be out there healthy. Isaac Guerendo starts getting reps. He starts finding that rhythm. He starts to hit some holes the right way, the way that we're all expecting him to. Of course, it's easy to say when you're watching on the television and you have replay and all that kind of stuff. Well, you should have gone over there. But he's getting it, and we saw it again against the Cowboys that he has found some serious rhythm. So that's fantastic news. That's great. That's getting people really excited, not just because of his size, but also because of his speed as a combo. It's just rare to have a guy who's that fast and that size. He's a big dude. So that's great. Not, you know what I mean, what, 230 or something like that, 225, something like that. So listen, the rookie draft class is fantastic, and that is definitely a factor in here. I wanted to tell you show you what Steve Young had to say on KMBR about the rookie draft class and who he honed in on. Give this a listen.
Yeah. And so and impactful, and like a guy like Guerendo, you're like, okay, wait a second. So the size, and then out in space, and he can fly, and wait. So Kyle, another asset to not just line up behind the guard, but kind of put him around, and he could go out wide. Christian was that kind of a player. So if we get that, those 3 guys all healthy would be so much fun for Kyle to toy with, right? And play and put people in a bind. And that could help us make up for Brandon being gone. And in ways that, could make it feel like there's people coming from everywhere, which is what we've been. And we want to recreate that. And so I think Guerendo is that kind of a guy. Like watching him, you're like, I want more of that. Well, I don't know whatever that is. I want more of that. And so in that way, rookies making impact, it's kind of fun.
So I'll pause there and just say, great take on Guerendo. Great take on the 3 of them as backs. I believe the question coming into that was, is this the best Oh no, that was the rookie draft class one. There's another one later where the take is kind of like this is the best 3 backs in the league, in the NFC at least. So anyway, I think his point is absolutely true, and the idea of Isaac Guerendo being a tool for Kyle, a tool that Kyle can use and scheme with. I like that idea. I definitely like it, and there's definitely something there. I'm not gonna argue with Steve on that point. I wouldn't argue with him on many points, but I definitely wouldn't argue with him on that one. The last audio clip I wanted to play for you from Steve Young comes from just that statement that I was talking about a second ago of like, this could be the best running back room in the NFC. All 3 are healthy.
And also, I think because of their flexibility and who they are, you could put all 3 of them on the field at once. I mean, but I think it's that kind of possibility to put defenses in a position where they have something that's going to threaten them. Right now, one thing that Brandon Aiyuk did, and I told you this when he was trying to get signed, he gets open quick and he's got a deep threat. He's going to pull the top off, and so there's fear about what he can do. And when defense, that's in the NFL, you better have fear in their system or they're predatory. They just keep creeping and creeping. So we've lost that, and we don't have that. Now, George has his own way to get open. Deebo has his own unique ways to get open, but not that. So how do we create fear? And I think we create fear with more incredibly talented people to do things that are unusual against linebackers, against safeties, out of position. And that's what they can do with formation and putting those guys on the field. So I'm like, all 3 of them at once, probably not. But Guerendo and CMC on the field at the same time with Deebo and George, I think there's threats that can be created. So I like what we're getting with the backfield, and I think it'd be helpful, not just running the football, but actually threatening in the pass game.
We gotta throw a shout out to Juwan Jennings there too, who doesn't go mention. I understand that's fair, that's fine, but I feel like prior to the injury, JJ was becoming that guy. He was becoming a guy that other teams were fearing. People were like, not scheming for this dude, and who is this guy? And I, of course, I'm in fantasy football leagues with a bunch of guys who don't like watch or pay attention to the 49ers at all. And, they're like, oh, who's this guy, Juwan Jennings? And they're shooting me texts like, should I pick him up on my team? And, asking me questions about him. And it's just crazy. Where like, this guy's been doing some good stuff for a while. He just wasn't getting the targets to maybe show up in like fantasy football or whatever. But the guy shows up in big moments, and he has many, many times in last season as well, especially in the Super Bowl. And now this season, you're seeing what happens when there aren't as many guys out there and he's the guy to go to. He can handle being the guy. As long as he stays healthy, of course. The hip thing has pulled him out for a couple games. But I think that Juwan Jennings deserves a little bit of love in that statement as well. I'll add just to his point about having all 3 backs out there. I get what he's saying. Obviously, he's like it's not going to happen. But you could say Christian McCaffrey, you go in the slot. You could say Jordan Mason, your lead back, and Isaac Guerendo. You could put Jordan Mason in like almost like the fullback role, the Kyle Juszczyk kind of role, and then have Isaac Guerendo next to you. There are things you could do in terms of what they're capable of. So I understand the argument there. I'm not trying to say that Jordan Mason is as good at blocking as Kyle Juszczyk or can do what Juszczyk does. I'm not saying that. Just don't take that too far, okay? All that being said, I think his point of view being there are a lot of ways that we can instill fear into defenses. There are a lot of ways that we can scheme things against them. That's what makes having Kyle Shanahan as your offensive play caller a huge advantage, right? Especially in this part of the season. For whatever reason, October, he's got a terrible record in October. A horrible record in October. But November, December, fantastic record. So let's hope that it kind of keeps trending that way. We got big guys coming back. Dre Greenlaw coming back soon, hopefully. You've got JJ coming back. You have CMC coming back, hopefully soon. So all these dudes coming back is going to make a big deal. Obviously, Hufanga, you'd like to see him come back healthy. He wasn't looking his best self when he did come back, so you'd love to see him come back and be healthy. And there are other guys out there that are going to continue to develop, like the guys like the Dominic Pooneys of the world, the Ronaldo Greens of the world, who are just getting better. And so there's a lot of reasons to believe that the second half of the season is going to look a heck of a lot better than the first half of the season. I'm fired up about it. Let's go. What a time to be alive.